Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. Have we gone back in time to 2017? Is this an anti-SJW Marvel comic book review? Well, yes, no, maybe, kinda. Not in the way you're thinking. It is. So, my nephew has gotten into Spidey and his amazing friends with Spin and Ghosty instead. Okay, blah. First off, let's talk about Paw Patrol. So, Paw Patrol is something that they were into for a while. I kind of brigaded. I do not want to watch Paw Patrol anymore. We're gonna watch the good stuff. I've got the TVY7 cartoons for you guys, because my view on children's literature is any good children's literature or any good children's cartoon should push the child slightly above their level. Now, for something like Blue's Clues is written for 3-year-olds, but they are mystery stories for 3-year-olds. I mean, they're actually pretty well constructed. In contrast, I don't know, Barney the Dinosaur, I hated that as a kid because it felt cloying. It felt like it was talking down to me. Miles Morales, I guess if you have any hero who fights bad guys, kids are going to resonate with that and like him. But where's the danger? Where's the adventure? So what I kept thinking of was something like Gummy Bears. Gummy Bears is also a Disney show, and the Gummy Bears are cute, adorable little bear characters, but they believe in the danger they encounter. When they're threatened by a bad guy, they are in fear for their safety and their lives. And so that gives it this sense of stakes, even though it's never too scary for a little kid. Paw Patrol and Spidey and all of these kind of like Paw Patrol variants, they feel purely inoffensive. They are there so mom can put on a 30-minute cartoon and not worry that their kid learns a bad word or gets a nightmare or something. But I never feel like there are actual stakes at any point in the story, which is too bad because you can add stakes to a story without making it too scary for kids. So the whole first couple chapters are, Miles Morales narrating about how cool his powers are and chasing around what are clearly supposed to be like a lesbian couple of bad girls pulling a bank heist. And after kind of like 30 pages of narration and a couple chase sequences, we start getting into the heart of the story. Now, at first I was bored, and then as we try to get into the moral of the story, it got weird. It's sort of like a lot of these modern Disney stories are about, fixing your relationship with your mom or generational trauma or cutting out toxic people from your life. But then they'll have like really weird toxic interactions. So Miles' friend is Kyle, and she's nervous about her dad going missing. So the thrust of the plot is the dad's going missing, the evil corporation's up to something, they've got to investigate it. When he first hears about this, Miles is kind of accidentally dismissive of her. It's not without purpose. So he basically says, well, maybe you shouldn't be worried. I mean, he texted you. And Kyle takes this to be him dismissing her concerns. She blows it up at him. He immediately apologizes, and she blows up and storms out. Then later he goes to talk to her and apologizes again. First words out of his mouth, I'm sorry for what I said. And then she blows up at him again. So he's trying, the story is saying, man, you've got to be more considerate of your friend's feelings. But she's not giving him the time of day. There's another subplot where there was an earthquake in Puerto Rico, and they're raising funds to help the people in Puerto Rico and doing like school bake sales and stuff. So then he goes and hangs out with his mom, and his mom roasts him over the coals for not doing enough to help the people of Puerto Rico. So this is the obvious classic superhero dilemma of the superhero has a double life as the masked hero and the normal person, and that creates all this tension and drama for their ordinary life. He's falling asleep because he is at college, staying up late, and also doing superheroics at night. So we feel sympathy for him. And then his mom busts him for like, oh, well, you don't have the right priorities. What was more important than supporting your mother last night? Supporting your family and friends, our culture. Seems to me your priorities are the only things mixed up. Now, the thrust of the narrative is supposed to be, Miles Morales has to care more about the people of Puerto Rico. Come on, Mom. He is a college student. He's studying. He's tired. He's falling asleep in front of you. And instead of her being worried about him, she's busting him for not caring enough about his race. All I'll say is I have never seen a white Disney superhero mom busting her kid for not doing enough charity work to support the white race. And then the kid saying, oh, yeah, you're right, Mom. I've really got to get my priorities straight. We must secure the existence of our people in the future for white children. So it's, yeah. Gosh, this kind of broke it. Okay, here's another thing. Why does Miles Morales have a secret identity? Well, because Peter Parker has a secret identity, and he has secret identity issues. Why did Peter Parker keep his secret identity a secret from Aunt May? Because she was 90 years old, and he was worried that she'd have a heart attack from hearing the news that he's Spider-Man. And Aunt May said she hated Spider-Man, and she'd read the Daily Bugle and talk about what an awful young man Spider-Man was. So this is a overly played out plot trope in the first place. B, it doesn't even make sense in Miles' situation. He should just tell his mom that he's Spider-Man. Okay, and there it is again. So in the Paw Patrol Spidey and His Amazing Friends, he's Spin. And I thought, okay, they're finally giving him a name. They're finally giving him an identity other than just being Spider-Man. But here he's Spider-Man. I guess this is supposed to be the Sony movie version of the character, where he's Spider-Man and Peter's Spider-Man. So what I basically learned reading this is nothing has improved since good old 2016 to 2017 days when I was trying to read these comics and just couldn't get into them, because it's telling you it's Disney corporate telling you you're supposed to like this diverse character without giving us something to click with. Now, the closest we get is the corporate espionage plot point. By the way, there's like a really weirdly based thing where the bad guy billionaire is letting the lesbians out of jail and paying their bail so that they can be his minions. And he's actually playing up that, oh, I just want to give these, poor, misunderstood people a second chance at turning over a new leaf in life. And then Miles immediately suspects that his danger sense goes off. He knows something's off because, Miles knows that, what evil rich guys do. Evil rich guys let criminals out of jail so they can terrorize innocent people. So that's why I say it's weird. It's like, I don't know what Disney's trying to say. It's weird even from Disney's progressive lens. So I guess the progressive lens is diversity means that we have lesbian coded villains who are used for anarcho-tyranny purposes by evil white capitalists who want to experiment on people. Where I'm going with this is there's something inherently right-wing about the superhero, because the superhero uses violence to stop criminals from performing violent acts on innocent people. Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. And then Disney corporate tries to build a safe superhero. And a safe superhero, they've got to be having cloying little comments and banter the whole time they're chasing down the lesbian villains, who are also cloying and cutesy the whole time. And it takes us about half the book just to get into the corporate espionage break-in and find out that the bad guy is experimenting on people. So in a 1960s comic book, it would have been like 3 pages in, and Peter Parker suspects that corporation is up to something, and he's busting in with his buddy. There's no excuse for bad writing, any culture war issues aside. So it's boring. I was initially thinking, well, maybe it's boring, but maybe my nephew who's 5 years old won't care that it's boring because it's got Spidey-Man in it. I just don't think there's any substance here whatsoever. It's beyond inoffensive. It's inoffensive and devoid of any content to click with or connect to, and has a really confusing a deliberate racial angle that is awkwardly placed and makes his family look toxic and putting additional racial pressure on him when he's trying to be a superhero and help people in a way that doesn't even make sense with the plot. I want to say what could be done to fix this, because that's what bugs me. What the reason this feels tragic is it feels like there could be a character here, and I think the closest we got was that first what is the title of the series, with the Sony Spider-Man movies with Miles Morales. The first movie, the theme of the movie is that he looks up to Peter Parker, he aspires to be like Peter Parker, and then he has to become a hero in his own right. And his way of being Spider-Man isn't necessarily identical to Peter Parker's way of being Spider-Man, which is a cool idea. That's the idea of building up the character by him aspiring to an older ideal, and it lets Peter Parker be more than just a perpetual teenager. Like, I noticed there's a very brief interaction where he talks to Peter, and Peter's with MJ in this universe. That it must be based on the Sony movies, because he's not with MJ in the mainline comic books. But it's just like a very brief interaction, and they give each other a fist bump. I feel like the actual direction this should be going is Peter in mentor role, Miles Morales in protege role. But Miles Morales is the cool protege in the way that Nightwing, Dick Grayson, is a really cool protege. He's not just Robin, he's not just Batman's sidekick. He is a hero in his own right, with his own set of skills. And one of the cool things about Dick Grayson is he's a better leader and he's a better people person than Bruce Wayne, which is why Bruce would be an introvert hanging out in the Batcave, and Dick Grayson would be building the Teen Titans and leading his own team of superheroes. That's what Miles Morales needs, some sort of direction that makes him feel different than Peter Parker Spider-Man. And he just needs his own name at this point. I can't believe they're not sticking with Spin as his name now that they've invested so much into making Netflix cartoons to sell that as his name. So it's forgettable. It's mid. It's very mid. I'll just give it. It's not awful or evil or bad, so I'll probably just put it in a little free library and some kid will get a kick out of it. But I don't even think it's good enough to give to my nephew for free, because I'm sure he would just be bored by it. He wants things blowing up. He wants swords chopping through robots. Not nearly enough swords chopping through robots in this book. That's it. Those are my thoughts. Love you guys. Catch you later.